Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back to Game 3 of the Best of 3 for the Grand Final of the Invasion AMD Gaming League. It's going to be AMD Mineski, a Malaysian team. Filipino team has flown over to Malaysia versus Lowyat.net Esports. Thank you, of course, to the sponsors of the AMD Invasion Gaming League, AMD, Invasion, eClub, Ignify Solutions, and Sapphire. Pimp Michael is going to be doing the camera work for this, so if you have any comments or criticisms, especially criticisms on the camera work, please just put it in chat with caps locks, just so he gets quite a big shock. And I'm being co-casted with Blaze. Hello, Blaze.
Hello, hello. Really awesome game from the first one. Not exactly the Mineski style we were looking for, but I'm sure they'll change their strategy up a little bit to throw Lowyat for a loop in this next one here. So essentially this is down to a final best of one. Out of all this here, we of course saw in the upper bracket Mineski take on Lowyat and take them down quite convincingly, but Lowyat fighting tooth and nail up back into this grand final, taking out Invasion, and now taking the first game of this best of three off Mineski. So now tied up 1-1. It all comes down to this.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited to see what Mineski do bring to the table. They picked up something that I've never seen them play before, picking up the CK Wisp combo, which didn't seem to quite work out in their favor. Lowyat just did their traditional thing of running an aggressive tri-lane and just completely shut down that CK, so he was unable to get any farm up in a reasonable time. So it does seem like maybe this game Mineski are going to pick something a little bit more comfortable with, banning out the Slug, so they don't want Lowyat to get it, but they don't want it themselves, since last game they also picked up the Slug, who, I mean, Jesse Vash, he did his best, but he didn't have the, snowbally type of game that you expect when you pick up a Slug. But I mean, there's a lot of heroes left in the pool that Mineski could go for, like the Clockwork, the Timbersaw. I did in fact see them run a Clockwork and Timbersaw dual lane, an aggressive dual lane, a couple of nights ago. So maybe we're going to be seeing that again. It was very pub type lineup, but it did work out. I don't know how, but it did.
I kind of find it interesting that the first game they went hardcore in banning out the offlane heroes, taking out the Timbersaw, taking out the Clockwork, and really making sure that that wasn't an option for them, because this really controls Mineski's tempo, that they're able to initiate at long range with hook shots or deal out an amazing level of damage with the Timbersaw. But in this case, neither one banned out. They're not afraid of it. This time they will just take off the board skill shot oriented heroes like the Invoker, like the Mirana, which can make big plays, of course. So they get the Alchemist for themselves, which could be played in a supportive sense, or it could be played once again by DDZ on the mid lane, but either way is going to be prevalent in towards the early team fights. Either way, Mineski going to answer back with a Lifestealer and a Pugna. Not sure exactly how to feel about that. Of course, the Pugna did provide a lot of great momentum early on from them. And it's almost like by picking up the Pugna, they were afraid of the Lifestealer counter pick, and in turn just picked it up for themselves, since it is such a great carry and will be able to avoid the unstable concoction with a good timed raged.
Yeah, well, it really is a quite nifty pickup, but I don't know, it's a bit clashing, I suppose, for Mineski with the Lifesteal and a Pugna. Like you were saying, I mean, Crepified, Lifesteal, it doesn't really work together. And Lowyat are just going to pick up the Weaver, who is a fantastic counter pick to both Pugna as well as Lifestealer. All of his spells are fairly low mana cost, so the Weaver doesn't worry too much about the Pugna's Nether Ward. I mean, bar the Swarm, but I mean, even that is only about 100, so it's not really comparable to something like a Queen of Pain will dish out. And Lifestealer, he wants to get up and close personal with you, using that open wounds to slow you down. And a Weaver, again, he doesn't care. He's just going to Shikuchi you around and run away from you whenever you try and initiate on him. So really nice pickup there, I have to say, with the Weaver, as well as a good combination with the negative armor from both the Alchemist and the Weaver. So if they do decide to run Alchemist as a roaming support, they should be able to score kills, even on the Lifestealer. Even if he pops that rage, he's still going to have that negative armor on his head, and the physical damage from the stun is not going to be negligible by that.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think that Lowyat have a bit of a controlling aspect of this early game draft. The Alchemist, I mean, is so-so and counterpicked by the Lifesteal, but that Weaver is just going to be so prominent towards the mid to late game against that Lifesteal. It's pretty much the perfect carry next to Clinks to put against the Nyx directly. And Lance, as I've said, has been playing that time and time again and shows how formidable he can be with that hero. So being able to maneuver despite Decrepify with the Shikuchi, being able to do substantial right-click damage to the low base armor Lifestealer, it's just going to be really hard for them to deal with it directly. I think Mineski needs some really good lockdown, and I'm not exactly sure where they're going to get it. I mean, we don't see Beastmaster as a very competitive hero anymore, at least not in the current meta trends. And beyond that, I mean, there are some hardcore disables, but they have to invest a lot in the draft to pick them up.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm just looking at the ban outs now. Mineski just they're letting Lowyat know that they
Yeah.
want an Outworld Devourer for the mid lane. They're banning out Razor, banning out Viper. They're saying, hey, we want an OD. We're going to take it now. So I wonder how Lowyat are going to respond. Are they going to pick up something like the Kunkka maybe to lane against the Outworld Devourer? Syllabe's another one who I have seen in the past, I guess, and that would give them a little bit more pushing ability as well as a bit of a tanky initiation carry with that lucky entangling roots that I'm sure are going to be coming out. But I mean, at the moment, Mineski are just so level dependent. Unless they're going to be running maybe an aggressive trialing, which I assume they have to be doing.
Yeah, they have
Pugna and
to.
Lifesteal just don't go together. So Lifesteal is going to have to go with the aggressive trialing with Pugna solo easy. But I mean, revealing who the three cores are in the first peak give Lowyat so much time to just counter peek and think about, well, what are we going to do to be able to shut down this lineup from Mineski? Because I don't really understand this drafting from Mineski.
Yeah, I
Uh,
really do think that the going for three cores early, although really fleshes out their lineup as far as knowing what their clear objectives are, it also conveys that, as you said, directly to Lowyat, and they're going to be able to immediately respond. Not worrying so much about the OD mid matchup immediately. They can worry about that as their fourth or fifth pick, but making sure they can secure a stable tri-lane with this Wind Ranger. Most likely going to be played by Mozun. We saw some amazing shackle shots from him earlier today, and I would expect nothing less. We also have the Nyx Assassin, which can be played either in the mid or as a support, and has a scaling mana drain to screw over both OD and Pugna. It does, of course, hurt Rubik since he is intelligence hero, but Pugna and OD specifically have the most intelligence gain of any hero in all of Dota. Those two are the top of the charts. So Nyx Assassin, later in the game with that mana burn and maxed out, is going to just completely tear through their HP and mana pools.
he really is. I mean, they could even be deciding to lane the Nyx Assassin in the mid lane. That's not unheard of in Southeast Asian
Mm-hmm.
Dota. They want to be running maybe Wind Ranger Alchemist support together, or alternatively putting Wind Ranger in the off lane versus that Pugna and running Alchemist as support with Weaver plus something else. What else could they go for? They really could go for anything, honestly. I mean, Alchemist is such a strong support. Morana's been banned out, so they're not going to be able to get that awful combo. But I mean, Crystal Maiden's still sitting right there and open. She's going to give a really nice boost of mana to the rest of the heroes on Lowyat. And a Naga Siren pickup from Mineski. I don't know. What?
I'm not too
What
sure.
is this draft? I mean, how can the aggressive trialing with a Lifestealer and a Naga Siren? That's two melee and an aggressive trialing versus the Weaver. Sure, they can net the Weaver down, but they're still going to have, the Alchemist charging up the stun ready to throw it
Um,
out on them.
I think they're going to put the Lifestealer safe lane and run the Pugna in the aggro try. It just it
Oh
would put out a
yeah.
lot more potential with the Nether Blast and AoE, and they all have all the setup in the world for it with the Ensnare and now the Telekinesis as well. I mean, they have a lot of potential. It still has its weaknesses, it still has its drawbacks, but I would feel much more comfortable to see Rubik, Naga Siren, and Pugna be the ones going in the aggressive tri lane. Of course, that means it's a weird matchup for Lifestealer if he's facing up against, I don't know, Nature's Prophet or something in the off lane, that could be problematic for him, but we'll have to see what Lowyat answer back with, as they're kind of still trying to figure out the draft as much as we are.
But it's still, I mean, interesting because Naga Siren plus Pugna isn't particularly a good combo. I mean, I suppose the Decrepify into Riptide is going to do a lot of damage, but still, does the Ensnare get taken away by Decrepify? I
I
mean,
think
is it the same as a Ghost Scepter?
in Dota 1 it did, but I don't think it does in Dota 2, though. I'm
Okay,
so
so it's
rusty on
different.
those mechanics, and I don't know. I've been at the casting seat for like, what, 10 or 11 hours. It's
Oh
hard
yeah,
to
no,
come up with those weird combos, so.
that's what I'm just thinking though, is that if I mean, I don't know, Pugna just seems random. It doesn't seem like the kind of hero that really fits into the lineups at all. I mean, it fits into their normal lineup style, but with two physical heroes, with the Danga Siren as well as the Lifestealer, and a mid hero who wants to auto attack as well. Where does this Pugna fit in? It must be a farming Pugna though, because Jules is going to be playing it. So AFK farming Pugna, you saw it first on Mineski versus Lowyat. Oh, well. Do you want to go through Lowyat and I'll go through Mineski?
All right, looking over the rosters, we are going to be seeing Bad Slow Game, aka Hawaii, running on the Clockwork. Over on the Weaver is going to be Lance. That is going to leave Xiangzai on the Alchemist. Mozun supporting up on the Wind Ranger as well. And that leaves DDZ on what I presume is the mid Nyx Assassin.
Yeah, and on the side of AMD Mineski, we're going to be having Jay playing the support Rubik. Joven, of course, is going to be on that mid lane Outworld Devourer. Not pulled, worth noting. He's only been pulled one tango, so he's not going for the Null Talisman, going for a Bottle Rush, which is a little bit unusual for a mid OD, but I suppose you feel like he's going to win the lane against an Nyx Assassin, possibly. Josh, aka Oa, is going to be playing that Naga Siren support. Lifestealer is going to be played in the jungle slash offlane by Jesse Vash. I think he's going to be going to the jungle until maybe he realizes what the lane is, so he might still be taking time to run down there. And Pugna is going to be played by Jules, so farming Pugna, I'm curious to see what items he goes for, because usually we see Jules on heroes like Mirana, on heroes like last game the Weaver, heroes that he can just farm with and not help the team, whereas Pugna is a little bit more of a team fight carry, so maybe we're going to be seeing something like that. You know, mushy style from TI, was it TI 2 possibly? Where he went for BKB and Argon Scepter and just stood in the middle of the team fights, just constantly spamming out that life drain. Maybe that's the kind of Pugna we're going to be seeing.
And perhaps, I mean, the only BKB piercing disabled they have is the hook shot, which you can't really say is spammable in any capacity, so it actually could work very well in their favor. Either way, we have seen players like Burning who are generally like stereotyped to the I'm going to sit in the jungle and farm, I'm going to sit in the lane and farm, and then I'm going to go find another location to farm and just not contribute anything type player, and then we've seen him play on an aggressive Pugna, and it's actually worked out extremely well for them, so I'm curious to see how Jules transitions into this role, but as you said, it's not the norm. And he is probably going to have to go for a bit of a diversified item build. Either he or the OD is going to be picking up the mechanism, and from there, maybe going for a little bit of Necro, maybe going for the BKB Ags, as you were saying.
I mean, maybe that's what the plan is going to be, is to go for a Mass Necronomicon. Howl Devourer isn't a terrible carry for a Necronomicon. I mean, he does benefit from the strength, he does benefit from the little illusions there, so not illusions, you know, summons. So I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible pickup for him. Necronomicon and a Pugna is pretty standard, I would say, as well. And I mean, maybe they're just going to have, you know, Jesse Vash who's farming in this offlane to go for kind of initiation items, like maybe a face boots into a drum, picking up the armlet if he gets the farm, but otherwise maybe just going straight for a Sanjin Yasha. And, you know, running in and just soaking up a whole bunch of damage so that the rest of Mineski can just push down the towers. Maybe. I don't really know what they're going to be doing with this. It's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see a little bit. But we are going to see Mozoon stalking up in the mid lane, looking for a courier snipe. This Dire Ward did expose his positioning, so I believe that the OD is fully aware of the potential of this threat and should be able to micro accordingly. But currently, it's making a beeline right for him, and this should be an easy courier kill for Mozoon. No bottle for you. 2 right clicks all he needs, and he gets... No, the bottle...
Oh, he got the bottle!
He does get the bottle and the magic stick, but loses the courier in the process.
Well, patience from Mozoon, I suppose. He's still level 1, but he did just wait there until the perfect opportunity to get that courier down. And man, that seems to be the norm now in competitive Dota. In 9 out of 10 games I see at this point, a support will just camp right here or camp right here until the courier walks past. In every game it happens. But at least Joven now, even though he did lose the ability to bottle crow, which is something that an OD really loves to do, he's going to be able to find a haste rune in bot lane. But this dual lane is really giving him a lot of grief. He's not able to spam out the Astral Imprisonment because he knows that even if he does cast it on somebody, he could be in trouble. But the 2 supports are rotating into the mid lane, maybe going to be catching someone out of position. Trap is going to be going off onto the Nyx Assassin. Jay is going to be able to get the telekinesis off before the stun comes out. Not the people's lifting back, but it doesn't quite matter. Josh is coming in, Riptide going off, Windrun is doing as much damage as he can, and DDC might be able to make it away from this. In fact, he will be able to on 27 health, potting himself up with... Not putting himself up, just eating a tango before running back, but still, Mozoon really creating a lot of space there, using that wind run to slow everyone down. He wasn't using it to tank, he was using it to say you can't chase under the tower because you're too slow, so really well done then by him. Mozoon's just on point today.
Yeah, I really do think that was a really big deal. Also, his positioning above the smoke gank, just seeing the Rubik coming in from the river. They saw this coming a mile away. They were able to get the stun off as they needed to and just kind of disrupt that in hole. It was still a very close call because the DDZ did not pick up a point in his Spike Carapace. He's going for a very offensive build. So in that sense that he was still at risk significantly, but with some good static HP regen and armor built into his hero. Actually, the Shackle Shot on mid, they're not going to be able to follow it up because the Impale was coming off cooldown. I almost think they could have gone for that, but not choosing to dive, knowing the supports could be anywhere nearby. And in the end, they just get a little bit of extra right-click damage onto Joven in the mid. But now we do see on top lane potential damage coming out. Actually, Shikuching right on top of Jules Lance. Not in the best position, but they're going to go hard onto Xiang Zai. So he's going to throw out the concoction onto Rubik, who doesn't have any armor at all into that acid spray, but they still claim the first blood with those right-clicks. Lance trying to get the high to low ground right-clicks. The Gemini comes through, but he can't actually Shikuchi him. So instead, will be stunned up and try to juke around a little bit. There's the Decrepify. Nether Blast coming around, but he did salve up and has a few more seconds of precious time bought. Will actually go for a Gemini right-click and tries to man up, but before the Shikuchi can come across, the Fade Bolt brings him down.
That was really well done there by Jay, just positioning himself so he was within range to get that Fade Bolt off, which just scored another kill. 0-2 at the moment, going the way of Mineski, so what a perfect start to the game for them. Shutting down the carry as well. I mean, on the offlane, they've got the Clockwork, and I mean, Clockwork, getting him farm is great, but on the whole, all the Clockwork wants to do is hit, you know, level 6 so he can start ganking. We can see now they're actually rotating the tri lane. They've given up. They're saying, well, it's going to be worth more if we can get farm up onto the Weaver, since Clockwork doesn't need he doesn't need farm. He's just there to get the hook shot off, and then who really cares about the Clockwork? He could die. He doesn't matter. So rotating the tri lane down is probably the best thing they can do, and this is going to be good for Lowyat, but at the same time, Mineski isn't too worried because Jesse Vash can rotate into the jungle. And that's the big thing, the big difference, I suppose, about the off lanes with a Lifestealer versus a Clockwork, is that Clockwork, he has to be in a lane to get experience. A Lifestealer can just say whatever and move to the jungle and get his farm up there. He doesn't have to worry too much about sitting in that lane. So this could be just still an advantage for Mineski because they're not going to be losing anything, whereas Lowyat are going to be losing experience on this Clockwork.
Yeah, but I still think it's a really good rotation from Lowyat. I mean, a lot of lesser teams are kind of just still kind of try to beat their heads against the wall, but the fact that this Sentry Ward just recently dropped down and he knows it, the fact that they are committing more support activity to that top lane really would just make it so that Weaver could get nothing as far as farm goes. I mean, we see the 11 CS count now up to 12, but really beyond that, he's found nothing in the lane, and something had to change. So they do make the rotation. It may be considered 5 minutes too late, but I would say it's right on time. They got forced out, and they have to responsibly rotate their lane. So Clockwork moving in towards that hookshot very quickly, but Pugna getting a lot out of those early kills.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got the mana boots up, and I'm still not too sure who's going to be going for the mech. Neither OD nor Pugna has started building into one, but speaking of OD, he's heading down to the mid lane, just going to be harassing out DDZ. DDZ is completely out of mana, so we might want to go into this, but in comes Xiangzai, charging up that stun. DDZ will be able to land the stun, of course, it's not dodgeable, so Joven will just take a tiny bit of damage, but backing out immediately, and rotation actually coming from Clockwork. He's now hit level 6, just hit level 6, he's ready to get a hookshot off, and oh, Joven is just positioning himself so aggressively, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Hookshot as well as an Alchemist stun. Telekinesis trying to save him, he will actually lay down the stun into his Eclipse, but he is going down, so first kill on the board there for Lowyat. 1-2 at the moment right now.
Yeah, and in return, they are losing a little bit of HP on their towers. This is kind of what we saw from game 1, but the reverse direction is this. There were individuals that were rotated to get kills, but every kill that they got, they paid for with tower's life. And we see the Netherblast doing some work, bringing down the tier 1, but not as much as they would prefer. They don't have the Leshrac to follow through, and they're not really burning it down that rapidly. So all in all, a very clutch kill for Lowyat, bringing down the level 6 Outworld Devourer, and the fact that he wasted the cooldown of the Sands Eclipse to some extent because now they're all healed up means that they have a little bit more breathing room in this early game. Down on bottom, a little bit of carry action going toe-to-toe. Looks like Lance does want to go for this Midas build-up, though. Going to pick up the Belt of Strength, which most people would say, looking at those two items, hey, he's just going to get the treads, but no, he doesn't really prefer those boots early. He wants to just get a little bit of casual tank with the +6 strength, and from there he will build into his Midas.
With that Midas pickup, though, his farm is just going to be snowballing quite significantly, I suppose. But, I mean, it's going to be a pretty slow Midas, ultimately. I mean, after the patch, it's a little bit hard to tell what a good Midas time is, just because, you know, it is increasing gold, and, you know, increasing gold leads to slower Midases, I suppose, because you're going to be more chance of getting picked off and all of that. But I mean, still, it's 8 minutes into the game and he's only farmed out, what, 400 gold, so he's still a fair way away. But we'll have to see. If he can get it before maybe the 12-minute mark, it should be quite good. But at the same time, it is going to mean that his early game potential is going to be quite neutered, I guess. He's really not going to be able to participate in too many team fights, and they are really eyeing him aggressively on top lane. Jay is just hiding in the trees there, standing pretty much right next to Mosin, but neither of them can see each other. Lance is going to be the target of choice. Mosin's coming in, wanting to get a shackle shot or at least some kind of harassment off, but looks like he's going to be latching a nice shackle shot, and Jesse Vash is the bait. In they come. He jumps into a creep, jumps straight out again. Mosin is going to be the target of choice. Jesse Vash is on the run. Lance, though, he's going to be turning around and popping his ultimate, trying to make it away, but he's netted immediately out by Josh, and now in comes the Alchemist, throwing out the stun onto Josh. Josh is going to be taking a lot of damage, not able to get the Riptide off before he dies, and now Jay is the one who's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's out of mana, and Lance just completely turning around, showing the power of an early game Shikuchi, as well as a couple levels of Germinate attack, and he's actually going to go straight for Tread, so not bothering with a Midas.
Yeah,
but
going for the fight build. I'm actually quite impressed with that. But no, like that was a very back and forth engagement. I really did think that Mineski were able to pull that one out with the fact that they saved the ensnare until the time lapse came out and locked down the Weaver. But luckily for the Weaver, Xiangzai came in with the TP rotation. The concoction was right on the mark, and they were able to get 2 very clutch kills on Lance. So he's very happy about how that played out. Played it very close to the chest, but in the end does come out on top. So that did work out for them extremely well. And now he is feeling confident to actually farm out here on the top lane. It's a little bit extended to smoke gank, potentially rotations from Mineski, but he's close enough to his tower with this tier 1 gone that he actually feels relatively comfortable.
I mean, like we did see, the supports will be rotating to help him out. Alchemist, no TP scroll at the moment, but he could be picking up another one unless he gets initiated on. Actually, Next Assassin is going to be using the Vendetta hit right onto Jay. Jay is just going to be going down. Xiangzai charges up a stun for about half a second before throwing it down, and Xiangzai could be going down in exchange. Jesse Vash will be able to get that last hit, and then immediately just TPs out with that Rage Still pop. So actually, perfect stun from DDZ, aimed the millisecond that TP... the Rage wore off, so that's going to be a 2-for-1 kill. Yeah. Definitely an exchange they're favoring Lowyat.
Yeah, very nicely done by DDZ. That couldn't have been timed more perfectly. The hesitation on the TP, just even slightly so, was enough that DDZ was able to claim his life, and that is a huge kill, of course, because they did miss out on it the first time around. Despite the fact that Jesse Vest didn't even use his infest on a creep that would provide him health, he still was able to flirt with disaster with that magic stick and open wounds HP regeneration, so he was able to steal enough life to get out of that engagement on the bottom lane, and so that is actually his first death of the game, but all the more important as a result of it. It looks like he is, however, going for this Midas. It could technically be the Armlet of Merdigian and just a build-up component for that, but more likely we're going to see him go Midas Gaming.
You reckon? I reckon it's going to be an Armlet or a Mjolnir, hopefully. That's a fun item. But I don't know. I don't think Midas is going to be a particularly good item buy at this point. Just given that they've got the mech up now in Jules, so they probably want him to fight. And if he does go for a Midas, it means he's going to be forced back to farming. And, I mean, even though Jules has got the mech up, it's Jules. He usually, in the middle of team fights, if he sees a creep, he'll go take it to get an extra farm. So, I mean, he is kind of a very farming-oriented player. So... that's something that Lifesteal's got to keep in mind, because if he goes for farming items, then that's going to be like a 3v5 situation, especially because the Weaver has decided to dodge that Midas and go straight for it, looking like a Lincoln's is going to be your first item.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good pickup for him here. I mean, he's going to be able to avoid most of the major threats on top of him. It looks like Jay's going to try to go in range for the telekinesis. He will be able to pull him back into range of the ensnare underneath the sentry ward, and that's going to force a time lapse. But saving his cooldowns very effectively, Lance is going to be able to Shikuchi away. So despite throwing everything they could at him, they're actually not going to be able to bring him down. So very, very good awareness on his part, and that gives them an opening. While Mineski is distracted on the top lane, Lowyat is able to claim the kill on OD in the mid.
OD just got instantly dropped down there. There wasn't even a second he could do anything. And that's one problem with OD not going for that mech, is his survivability is slightly, cut back. The mech gives him that ability to have, a burst heal and survive a little bit longer. Force stuff is good for escape mechanisms, but not that good.
Clockwork getting the hook shot off onto Joss to start things off very strong with that battery assault taken away. They will claim the Naga Siren, and now Lance can just outmaneuver his opponents. He still has to worry about that Sentry Ward a little bit here, and it looks like Hawaii is actually just going to TP away, too afraid of what's forthcoming. But DDZ gets some nice nukes to bring down the Pugna. However, in turn, Joven drops the hammer, is able to bring down Lance finally. DDZ bottling up, trying to run, but Josh is trailing him pretty close, and with this ensnare, I think they should be able to bring him down, assuming they have detection, but he has that Vendetta, he pops it off, and he should be able to get away here.
Again, I crashed, so I missed that engagement, but 8-5, I can see that, going in favor of Lowyat, even though Weaver did just die. Poor Jules died for the first time then, 0-1 on him, which is not the kind of score he wants. And he's only got one tower down, and when you have a Pugna, probably going to see a little bit more pushing coming out from him soon, hopefully, because they want to be able to get all those tier 1 towers down.
Yep, trying to go for a Fishing Shackle on mid lane, but they're not really going to find it here. They have to commit in full, and with the hook shot not available just yet, Hawaii is going to have to be a little more patient. But interesting positioning from DDZ, actually finding out the Nagasarian gets the stun off, but can they follow through? The hook shot is available, but he's canceled it, now finds it right on target, and going to go for the battery assault, making sure that Nagasarian can't cast a single spell. In the meantime, a nice telekinesis coming out of Jay, and Jesse Vash jumps in with that infest, dodges out the stun with the rage, but he doesn't have enough right-click damage to actually stand and deliver here. They are going to try to bring down Mozun, but he's just going to be able to wind run away, and in the end, Mineski loses 2 for nothing.
Mineski just lacking damage, and I suppose this is what I was looking at that lineup going, what exactly is their plan? Because while Pugna can deal a decent amount of damage with the Nether Blast, Nagasaran isn't really a nuking hero, Rubik isn't really a nuking hero, Lifesteal is definitely not a nuking hero, and neither is the Outworld Devourer. So I guess that. I was trying to think, like, what exactly do I not like about their draft? And it's that they don't really have any mid-game damage. I mean, all the damage is going to be forced out from a Lifestealer who's a single target, Nagasaran who, I mean, Riptide's AoE, but she has to be standing right next to them, and Lowyat are pretty spread out because they've got the clock going to be standing back, same with the Windrunner, she's going to be standing back. And yeah, Mineski just don't have any nuking damage, whereas Lowyat have got the Alchemist stun, they've got the Clockwork Rocket, they've got the Nyx Assassin who can use that AoE stun from the Impale, as well as the Power Shot to just deal damage out in teamfights, and it's really showing because Mineski, even if they're keeping alive and kind of damaging a whole bunch of people, they're not killing anyone, they're just getting a whole bunch of people low before losing the team fight.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, maybe if the Lifestealer had more farm, that'd be a different story, but only sitting on 47 CS, 1 kill, and now getting hit by a Shackle, there is going to be a little bit of a tactical pause now. Just kidding. But it is going to be a pause where they can gather their thoughts and try to respond to the situation. Right now, that is a rank 3 Shackle. The Clockwork closing in, and this should be the kill.
What was that hook?
Couldn't even tell you,
Good
really.
attempt. Oh well, still a nice little pick off there on the Lifestealer, a good Shackle, and Puppy Paws not able to save the day, but they will be getting a bottom 2-1 tower in exchange. Now,
Joven though, Vendetta, stun, easy battery assault, easy kills, and easy prayers for Low. Yeah, they're going to be able to get the mini stun Shackle onto Jules. Might be enough to pull him back into the cogs who have just come off cooldown, but they need a little bit more move speed, or the blink initiation. DDZ will get the last right click on that one there. Very nicely done. There is a risk of retaliation from Mineski, but with 3 of them dead, that's not so prevalent. We do see Hawaii on only 300 HP, but not really at too much risk, and they're actually going to blink in again. Jay will drop despite the usage of the first Song of the Siren. Jesse Vash TPing in, trying to get a kill perhaps on Hawaii, but the right clicks, the Force Staff, he's going to be able to get out with these cogs. So now Jesse Vash comes back in to change his target, but the Rocket Flare finishing off on the Naga Siren, and from there, there's not much that Mineski can do. In fact, they're losing towers. They do get the tower on the, what is it, mid lane? Or yeah, they were diving deep. They were able to get the tower on the mid, but I don't know, just Mineski are really backed into a corner here. I just don't feel like their lineup suits their playstyle, at least in the limited experience that I've had spectating this team, because in my opinion, Mineski is a very proactive team play type I can't even say words. I've been casting too long. But I would say that Mineski is a proactive team, not a reactive team. They're picking heroes that respond to situations okay, but they don't set the tone in the first place. And they prefer to have like the Clockwork jumping in, the Mirana landing those clutch arrows, and instead they're trying to infest bomb with a Force Staff. Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, like this lineup, I don't really understand. This lineup and the one before, it just doesn't suit their playstyle, and they're definitely, you know, more than welcome as a team to try new things out, but like it's a bit, I don't know, confusing. This is really not what I'm used to seeing from Mineski. I mean, Outworld Devourer, I really don't like Outworld Devourer at the best of times. He has good lane control, but after that, it's like in the mid game phase, he just does nothing unless he gets like a fantastic start. I think he's useless. But I mean, Outworld Devourer and a Lifestealer, it's so much single target damage in that early game or early to mid game that it leaves you in this situation where you just don't have any real ability to kind of take team fights, and you can't be proactive. You have to really be reactive. Yeah, you can get the Astral Imprisonment off to someone, but when you're versing an Alchemist who's going to have that time to charge up the stun, or Windrunner who can line a Shackle up, or Nyx Assassin who can blink in, and speaking of Nyx Assassin, he's Vendetta up and looking at Joven in the mid lane, but Joven's like, nope, I'm getting out of here, and just forced off himself to safety.
Yeah, good movement there. I think they really need to start just grouping together a bit. You take advantage of the fact that they do have that mechanism advantage, at least for now. Clockwork is building his up gradually, but still has a bit of a ways to go. So actually just a headdress away. But anyways, they do have that advantage for now. And if Mineski are running as 5, using the Infest, using the Shikuchi, I guess, to be the Nyx carrier. I'm not sure about that, but they're going to try to Shikuchi in, pop the Infest, and use this mechanism advantage to try to take a 5v5. But Lowyat can just play differently based on that. They can say, okay, well, we're not going to fight you on your terms. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of Rat Dota. Lance, of course, was able to push the top lane out, and now has been farming rapidly towards that Lincoln Sphere. And in the meantime, Xiang Zai, the support Alchemist, has found a Blink Dagger, though now getting engaged on by Jay and by Jesse Vash. They will be able to find the pick on him. Are they going to get Mosin, though? They do get the prison, and I think this should be the kill, but he certainly is going to try to eat his way out here with the power shot. Instead, actually shows off where Lance's positioning is, and with this Sentry Ward, they might bring him down too. Oh my gosh, dropping down to 20 HP, but the last right click is disjointed. They say, screw it. Pop the song, bring him down, but he time lapses. Still on low HP. They finally drop the hammer, and he will go down. A triple kill in all for Joven. And most likely a tower kill subsequently, but they had to give it a lot to it. They were like trying to hold on to every little cooldown that they could, but in the end, they just wanted that Weaver dead, and they did get that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was exactly what Mineski needed, a 4-for-nothing trade, and if they wanted to bring the game back into their favor, that was exactly how they wanted to do it. Though, I mean, they still are at a pretty big gold deficit. Actually, no. After that, it's the gold lead that Lowyat had is just halved, and experience pretty much halved as well, and they actually might be able to get the Roshan, so Mineski back in this game, I have to say.
Good smoke movement, Shikuchi initiation. I was kind of knocking it, but Jay used it quite effectively. Looks like Hawaii wanted to try to fish for a hook to cancel out this Roche, but OD claims the Aegis, and I'm not sure if they can engage inside this pit. A great decrypify for Pugna, won't take the damage, but still caught in with Hawaii, almost dropping down the Impale from DDZ. Very nice blink initiation, but stolen by Jay and turned right back around, though Josh pops off his very last Riptide before he indeed falls. Lifestealer, dropping low, but he still will be able to survive with that armlet. Unfortunately, Rube can't say the same.
Yeah, they just kind of abandoned Jay there. Probably revenge from last game. We're just like, no, this is what you get for killing your teammates off. But yeah, I mean, they got the Roshan, they got the Aegis up, didn't they? Unless I made that
OD
up.
still has. Oh wait, no, OD did lose it immediately after.
Yeah, I didn't see him die either, but he must have because he doesn't have the Aegis anymore. But I mean, it's still given OD a little bit of farm and ability to catch up to getting that BKB up, which is going to be essential. And yeah, even though they are pretty low health, I would say on Lowyat at the moment. I mean, 400 health there on the clockwork. He's got that mech flying out in the courier, so they might be able to commit to a push and taking down this tier 1 tower. The last tier 1 tower of the game going down. Oh, by this mid one. Mid tower still up for Lowyat.
Yeah,
Something that Mineski really needs to get down.
Yeah, not really getting so much work out of the push button. And in fact, DDZ going in deep, but he does lose a lot of his HP, and the rage of Lifestealer can just beat on him despite the Carapace. Xiang Zai goes overextended, gets locked down, and he indeed will fall. Trying to clean up one more Joven, 4 steps for the prison, but at nighttime, you don't get that much vision, and he won't actually connect with any of his spells. In the mid lane, there is Weaver still playing around. Lance doing some work. Even with his low item pool, he's able to find out those stragglers and just catch them out like the OD in the last fight, and in general just really show the strength of the hero with or without items. Most people look at Weaver, they're like, okay, he can't do anything without farm, but if he's allowed to, without detection, having to worry about detection, move in and out of fights very frequently, it doesn't matter how much farm you have, you're still going to be making a significant impact, and with, of course, the Lincoln Sphere on top of that, he's going to be just delivering a bloodbath.
He's going to be a rat. What he's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a bug, he's a rat. But yeah, I mean, Weaver now is really snowballing in terms of farm, and he's going to be, he has got the top net worth at the moment. Just behind him is the Outworld Devourer, but I mean, you got to remember the Outworld Devourer's been joining team fights, so he's doing okay. And now with this taking of the stack that they have stacked for themselves, maybe going to be seeing a drum picked up on Jesse Vash, and hopefully that BKB finished. Yeah, that BKB is flying out in the courier for Joven, so that will be a big help in the team fights, because a lot of the damage at this point from Lowyat is coming from magical damage. I mean, it's all kind of in the, Wind Rider with the power shot. The stun coming out from the Alchemist, it is physical damage, so the physical damage will still hit, but the stun is quite big, as it gives time for Clockwork to aim up that hook shot, as well as the Vendetta to come out from the Nyx with extra damage from the stun from him. And the mana burn is a really big one for the OD, since he does have such a high mana pool, that mana burn just absolutely destroys him. So, I mean, on the whole, BKB is going to be a really crucial item for Joven to be able to actually do some damage in teamfights and not have to worry too much about getting taken down themselves. So this could be another teamfight going the way of Mineski if they play their cards right.
Up here in the Dire jungle, they're going to go on Lance, popping the dust, and just about every cooldown they can. He tries to time lapse south, and get in the fog of war, but nothing's going to work for him here. And I got to say it was a bit of a misplay. They're going to take the opportunity to bring down the Pugna, who was pretty much playing the bait card and trying to get Lowyat to initiate in a situation where they were overwhelmed. But in the end, he still remained the bait, but his backup was nowhere to be found, bringing down the Weaver in the jungle. So in the end, a 1-for-1. Technically, I guess you could call it a carry for a carry. But the bottom line there is a mistake from Lance. The smoke was 100% revealed. It was in this location here by the secret shop of the Dire, and they absolutely saw it with these observer wards. It was pinged out multiple times by the Nyx assassin, but still, Lance played an aggressive position, and it turned out to be a massive error on his part. So they do claim 1 kill in turn, but 1 death that they didn't need to take.
Yeah, I mean, Lance, I think, is at this point is a little bit more crucial than Pugna. I mean, Pugna's going to get the farm no matter what. He's got a huge farming potential with the AoE coming out from the Nether Blast, whereas Weaver doesn't have an in-build farming ability. He's got the Shakuchi, but that doesn't do enough to, instantly clear a creep wave. So Weaver getting that farm up is a lot more important, and Weaver staying alive is a lot more important than little Pugna, who is kind of expecting to die every team fight anyway. But, I mean, Lance is still heading towards that link, and he should have it up by around about the 25 to 26 minute mark, which is going to be a decent timing. I mean, if he had the Desolator up by this point, it'd be quite nice as well, but he's getting there. And when he does have that Desolator up, he's really going to be able to do a lot of damage in the team fights. Actually, on top lane, trying to initiate onto Lance. In comes Jesse Vash. Lance does have the Screech up and is able to just run away.
Yeah,
but,
not really too much those two can do
bit.
specifically. They really don't have anywhere near the lockdown to actually threaten the Weaver in any capacity. But they did set him back quite a bit with that kill. As you're mentioning, he doesn't really flash farm too hard, and although Lance is still top of the net worth charts, he did lose most of the crucial gold towards that Lincoln Sphere. So still looking for that recipe, 300 gold off. He will find it, just not nearly the timing that he was looking for. Even so, it looks like Lowyat's going to be able to bring down this bottom tier 1, or close to it. Pushes it just outside deny range, but Mineski are here and seem to be intent on keeping it.
Yeah, and actually Lance just going man mode to Jesse Vash on the top lane, just doing a bit of an engagement, a little bit of a scrag fight there, open wounds, and Lance just uses a time lapse in fact to get away. But he's at the point where the time lapse only got a 50-second cooldown, and soon enough it'll be 40 seconds with a 0 mana cost. So we can really spam that out just to kind of get a bit of harassment, use the ultimate, and clockwork. What was that? He just hookshot himself into the fight. So hookshot's going to be on cooldown for another minute or so, meaning that it might be a little bit hard for them to take a fight, so they don't have that big initiation spell that they're used to relying on. Bit interesting.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but I mean, I don't think they have to be the huge aggressors here. They still want to keep good control of the enemy's jungle and such with DDZ on the Nyx, but he has his blink, he has his force, and they pretty much, as soon as they feel comfortable with the fight, they will be able to take it. So right there, we saw the attempt at the blink. Pugna was able to back off just in time, but as a whole, if they want to go, they certainly will. It's just about the time and the positioning, and Clockwork cooling down his hookshot, being a relatively short cooldown, he'll be up and running for another potential initiation in just a little bit, and in the meantime, Lance is just farming away, safe and sound with that Lincoln's Midas, and he is, at this point, dramatically outpacing the Lifestealer. Like, he's actually almost doubling. That's exaggeration, but as the gap widens, I really do think this Lifestealer is going to start falling behind.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse Vash is going for a little bit more of a kind of utility build, I suppose, for being able to help out in team fights, but the problem with going for an early game... Oh, actually, Clockwork going to be hooking on the bot lane. Jay is going to be the one stuck in the trap, but a really nice defensive Astral Imprisonment will be saving his life for the moment. And Song of the Siren is going to be going off. 4 heroes stuck. Who are they going to target? They're grouping up around them. In they come. Boy, BKB as well as Sandy's Eclipse. DDZ will be taken down by Rubik there. And now Bad Slow Game is going to be the next one they target. Life Drain going into a good measure. Xiangzai will be throwing out a stun to Jay, but it doesn't matter. He gets telekinesis. Followed up by Ned, and that's going to be a double kill onto Joven there. 3 down and none down for Mineski.
Yeah, amazing for them. Yeah, really, really good for them. I mean, the Sans Eclipse just delivering, and of course Lance wasn't involved in that whatsoever compared to the 5-man Dota of Mineski, but even so, it's exactly what they need to make sure this is going to work out for them. They do have a lot of carry potential, and although,
actually,
of course...
top lane, sorry, Joven actually might be going down now.
Ow.
Losing that kill streak to Weaver. He just tried to auto-attack him to death, and Weaver said, okay, I'll take it, and then just chased him into the base and killed him. That was a huge overextension there by Joven. Just gigantic.
So was his prison on cooldown? Like, I just don't even know like what he was doing there.
He used it on Lance, and obviously Lance has got a Lincoln's. Yeah, so Lance was just like, alright, whatever, and just chased him down. That was, I don't know what Lowyat was thinking. That was kind of, he was obviously just high from, turning the game around that he was like, I'm gonna go farm top. Oh, I regret this decision.
Immediately, just
Yeah.
outright 100%. That was inexcusably the wrong move. We actually see potential to kill off Lance here. He does go for the Fade Bolt to pop the Lincolns, lifts him up, but the Impale Stolen is not going to be enough to bring down him down from 100 to 0. He is able to get the time lapse off, and like you said, it's not a long cooldown, doesn't really cost him too much at all, so he's a little perturbed he didn't finish off those Mud Golems, because like every single Dota player, he must hate them, but I don't know. At this position, Lance is still happy to be farming away at a current CS value of almost 200, and there's really just not much to stop him right now. Of course, Mineski grouping up together could do this, but I really think they just need to focus on getting the Scythe on Joven ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, they really do need that Hex, and he's getting close to it, picking up the, the hardest component with that Mystic Staff, but, I mean, still, they're losing map control, they're losing towers. A nice deny they're coming out from Jules, and actually DDZ is handling himself so aggressively. He will be able to blink in and get the stun up, but a nice defensive disruption while he's in the air. That's a flying Pugna right there, but it doesn't matter. He's going to be okay. BKB popped on Joven. He's chasing down anyone. He will be able to get down DDZ. Stun being charged up by Xiangzai, but who's he going to stun? He's forced to stun himself. He blinks out of the way, though, so they're not going to be initiating onto that. Or are they? 4-star from Jay coming forward. He wants to chase down on anyone, but move speed up on them is a little bit too fast, and Lance, meanwhile, is just pushing down the tier 3 in the mid lane, going for the racks while they're all distracted.
Yeah, and that's even without the Desolator, so once he gets that debuff on the towers, he's going to be able to siege them very aggressively and just play full-on Rat Dota. Now, they are pinging him out. They do have an Observer Ward on the plateau here, but even getting that map vision, knowing where Lance is, they need the Scythe to really actually be able to bring him down, and Joven's still pretty far off of that, so not so sure exactly where he's going to find that farm, but he desperately needs it if they're going to be able to do anything about this Weaver.
Yeah, I mean, they have got not a BKB, a Basher, so I picked up now in the lifesteal, which will help a little bit against the Weaver if the lifesteal can get lucky with those Bashers. I mean, a lucky Bash on the Weaver should be able to take him down, but, I mean, again, Weaver's not joining into the team fights, and they don't have kind of the mobility. They don't have a Blink Dagger picked up on anyone. I mean, the best thing they can really do is hope for a Shikuchi steal by Jay and then Jay initiate in. But, I mean, even with a 4-staff, it gives enough time for the Weaver to just pop the Shikuchi and run away, so this is kind of the initiation, I suppose, is going to rely on Jay, who's got that gem, to be able to either 4-staff himself in or steal the Shikuchi in and then get a lift up on Lance, as long as, there's someone else in position to do the damage. So taking Lance down, basically, what I'm trying to say is going to be a 2 or 3 man job.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a lot of resources just for one hero.
And I think that comes down to the draft a little bit. I mean, looking back at what they picked up, the first phase, jumping in with the OD, the Lifestealer, the Pugna, really just kind of gimmicky in the sense that there are so many ways to counter it, but also lacking in one key thing, which is actually a hard guaranteed lockdown. A lot of movement in the jungle, of course, and the smoke in the mid, but it looks like they're going to try on Lance. They might be able to find him out, but popping the Lincolns, he's still going to Shikuchi about, and they're not really going to accomplish too much in the long run. But as I was saying, the fact that they picked up the OD instead of, say, a Puck, allowing them to blink, infest, bomb, and silence all at once, it's just a very limiting factor to their draft, and I think it's costing them here, as Lance is able to just unperturbed farm away and continuously pressure the lanes, making it that Mineski are forced into a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a drafting problem, I would say. It's they're playing the draft as well as they can. I mean, even though the score was something like 13-4 earlier, or some big deficit in kills, they have managed to catch up on the whole, but still, it's not enough. They need more than that. They really need to be in a position where, they can get down a hero and not have to deal with the split pushing, because now, while they're putting a whole bunch of resources to chasing down Lance, this bot tier 2 tower is going to be going down. DD Room on bad slow game, and really, really aggressive TP coming out from Jules, but it's apparently going to work. They do back off and let Jules just farm this tower, though they might be looking to re-engage. Bad slow game is getting in line to get that hook off.
Jesse Vash in a bad spot. He will go for the TP. They don't have any more stuns, but the right clicks almost bring him down anyways. He is able to survive. Nevertheless, Jay trying to initiate on bottom with that Shikuchi. Does get the 4-step forward. He will get the telekinesis and pull Hawaii in. Blocking off the hookshot intentionally. Great move from Jay. Still active with the Shikuchi. Joven pops the BKB. They should be able to claim the clockwork, but haven't prisoned yet. They just want to go for the damage, and it should be enough here. Yeah, cogging in Jay. He zaps him. real quick and actually steals the hook shot to jump onto Mosin. If he can actually pick off the Windrunner as well, this will be the play of the game. Going for Force Staff, gets the telekinesis, pulls him back as far as possible, and not going to be a prison. Instead, a double Force Staff to lead him to safety. Oh, so close, Jay. So close from the most impressive play I've seen this tournament, but unfortunately it will come fruitless in the end.
Yeah, that was attempt of the century there by Jay, but just not enough, unfortunately. But I do like what they're doing at the moment with Mineski, how they've got Jesse Vash defending the lanes while 4 are pushing the bot lane. Well, 4 are smoking up, maybe going to the Roshan pit. But I mean, Jules is really all they need to push. They need someone to protect Jules, and actually they know that DDZ is there. DDZ going to be using the Force Staff as well as the bleed to get himself to safety. They will be doing a little bit of dewarding before just backing out. The smoke is popped now, but they have got the deward, so looks like they won't be going to the Roshan since they are spotted out. And Lowyat actually going to be using the rocket to scout the Roshan. So both teams just going to be backing out. But I mean, all they really need to push is what I was trying to say is Jules, because of that Nether Blast. That's going to be their best pushing ability at this point in the game until they get up, you know. Smoke like does later. Ooh, Josh actually popping the Song of the Siren. Nether Ward is planted down by Jules, and they are going to be going in. DDC immediately blinks out, but Lance is the target of choice. He does not manage to get that time lapse off, and he's going to be going down. So that's 73 seconds with him dead. He has got buyout, but this could be a fantastic move from Mineski. If they can't even get another pick off, Mosen's still sitting in the mid lane, but Jay, he gets blocked, and he doesn't have the telekinesis anyway, but he's chasing down into the tower range, in fact, 4-star forward, unexpectedly. But he's going to just be playing that Shikuchi so aggressively, just running around trying to scout out anyone he can, just while they've got this dead guy there. And buyout coming out from the Weaver. In comes the Clockwork, going to be immediately taking down Jove, and they're trying to take down Shangzai in exchange. Jesse Vash doing whatever he can, but he just doesn't have enough damage. And of course, with the Weaver back in the team fight, chasing them all down, he is on the run. He's going to get shackled to a tree, in fact, and Weaver, huge shackle coming up from Mosen there, will be scoring the kill. Jay, he got rid of the Shikuchi. He could turn around and take another Shikuchi. He's going to be throwing out the stun. There we go. Really well done. So he's going to throw the stun to cancel the Lincolns and then Shikuchi himself away. But still, this could be the loss of the Roshan. Joven just dying so quickly that team fight.
Yeah. Great movement from the Weaver, popping the buyback. They pretty much were communicating that entire team, the entire time behind the scenes. The Clockwork Initiation was assuming Lance's participation in the fight, and they actually got a lot out of that. Now blinking to the high ground, looking for the stun, but without the detection, he might be stunning himself again, and that would be atrocious right here. It's going to be Jay to send some right clicks in, but the Roshan does fall. Weaver to pick up the Aegis the Immortal, does time-lapse and get bashed, but he will still be able to get a lot of Desolator right clicks off to Josh before he does fall for the first time. Here's going to be a great stun from DDC, but immediately defensively prisoned by the OD. Now we do see Lance trying to get out of there, telekinesis up, and the damage is there to bring him down. So second time Weaver dies, and this time for 75 seconds in the grave due to the buyback change, and that's not going to be good for him or for any of them, considering he did get the Aegis and the Roshan. But still, it's golden experience going their way as a whole, and as long as Weaver can get back on his feet, I think Lowyat are pretty happy about how the last 2 or 3 minutes have proceeded.
I think Mineski must be decently happy too, of course. I mean, losing that Roshan is not ideal, but getting the Weaver down twice does give a really big opening now for them to at least get a little bit more map control. You know, plan some aggressive wards if they choose to, but otherwise maybe do some pressuring on the tier 3 tower. It is going to be a 4v5 situation. They've got all the items they need, and I mean, Jesse Bash is just lucking out on these bashes. He's getting bash galore, so maybe he's just hoping that he can continue the trend. And with his Necrodomic on 3 units, they should be able to really do a fair chunk of damage. I mean, they've got 30 seconds of pushing now. They should be able to get that tower, I would say, down to at least half health, if not destroy it completely.
Yeah, so we're actually able to get a lot more than I expected out of this. Mineski able to siege down the tier 2, looking for the tier 3, and also they've gotten the Scythe Gold for the OD. They're rapidly moving towards that Abyssal potentially for the Lifestealer. Still a long way off, but every little bit counts. But a big Mana Burst coming out of Pugna, bursting him down. Pugna barely surviving this, but DDZ won't survive it whatsoever. We're seeing one more buyback coming in from the Nyx Assassin, and Xiangzai actually forced after the low ground, taking a lot of damage here. He will indeed fall, and this is Mineski's time to retreat. They know the buyback's up, they know the aggression is forthcoming, but Jay charging up that concoction actually kind of puts himself out on the limb. Either way, he is still going to survive, of course. They're not going to initiate outside their base. -1. So at this stage, Mineski are still going to go for a gradual push, but a great shackle coming through. Amazing mana burn damage coming out to bring down Jules, but charging up the concoction. Jay looks to bring it down onto Lance. They pop the Lincoln, so they will get some great stuns out, but immediately time-lapsing to try to actually get some damage out. Either way, there is going to be a great ultimate from Joven, securing the kill on the Weaver, and with this 4 for 0, a triple kill for Joven, and the fact that Nyx is down for 70, they should have this Rax. They might have this game. Ultra kill from Joven, turns things around amazingly, and now there is nobody alive for Lowyat to contest this. The mid will certainly fall, maybe even the top. Oh, actually, the top, they have to go for tier 2s first. They're missing out on those lanes, having just kind of battered down the middle, but an amazing game blown wide open for Mineski.
Yeah, I mean, Mineski were at such a deficit, I would say, a bit earlier, but now, I mean, Joven, MVP of this match, I have to say. He's gotten so many ultra and triple kills. Of course, Jay has been doing just fantastic as well. Those Shikuchis, those steals, all of those have been amazing, but Joven really just turning the teamfights around with good positioning. And it really shows, because that one teamfight where he got picked off in the mid lane, they did actually lose that fight pretty badly. But if Joven's staying alive, he's turning the teamfights around into their favor, and that's going to be double racks going down. Lowyat they had such a big advantage, but, well, it wasn't really that big advantage, only about 5,000, but I mean, you can just look at the goal graph and it's just gone, like, phew, down in Mineski's favour, and I don't know if Lowyat can come back from this. I mean, if they can win a team fight, they could probably go straight throne, honestly. The damage coming out from the Weaver is pretty significant, but are they going to be able to win a team fight is the question.
It gets harder from here, to be honest. The amount of advantage Mineski just got, I mean, the ability for Weaver to split push when he's already down 2 lanes of Rex is extremely stifled. He's not going to be able to put that much pressure on the tier 3s of Mineski for a very long time. And at this stage, they might just say, let's not even drag it out. Let's go for the hardcore 5-man push down the mid lane. But they're up against a lot more resourceful actions from Mineski. I mean, Joven now has his Scythe of Ice. Pugna is well on his way with only the 875 off. Yeah, he's still going to be a little bit short unless he sells something, but he is close to it himself. And even the Lifestealer has the Sange close to Halberd if that's what he wants to go with. One way or another, they are in a great position to just hold the line and win this game. I mean, it was just a gradual thing, killing off the Weaver twice over the Aegis, and then, of course, taking him down in total, then forcing him to buy back. Then the Nyx Assassin buyback. I mean, it was just every little bit helped. I mean, there were some great shackle shots, some great damage coming in from Mineski, but they couldn't actually secure any of the kills. And the end result is Lowyat falling by the wayside, losing 2/3 of their base, and now they're up against multiple halberds that they don't have a BKB on the Weaver to deal with. Actually, no, they do. They just got it on the Courier, so that helps out a lot, but will it be enough?
Well, no matter what happens now, Lowyat are always going to be at a golden experience deficit because 2 lanes of creeps are going down. And, I mean, they're kind of at a point where they need to exchange a racks. And they really could do it. I mean, they were doing a really good job with the split pushing. Lance just, you know, kind of chipping away at the towers. He didn't get too much damage done, but he didn't have that Desolator up. So, I mean, now Lance probably wants to, you know, just encourage his team to just go to a lane together, possibly. And with that BKB, just use it to kind of win the game. But Lance could be in trouble. They are all eyeing him, smoked up and heading down to that bot lane, but he will be able to Shikuchi out with that 6th sense, making himself a little bit safer.
Yeah, it definitely helps that he's being very cautious at this stage in the game, but it might be too late. I mean, right now, Pugna's about to pick up the 3rd Scythe of Ice on their team. The Courier just picked it up from the Secret Shop. 3 hexes that they didn't have 5 minutes ago when they blew the doors wide open on Lowyat's racks, and now I just don't know how they stand against that much disable. I mean, this is the late game item, the Scythe of Ice, and they just got 3 of them all at once. This just makes it so difficult for Lowyat to survive. They do have a 10-second BKB on Weaver. That is a very big deal, but I just don't know when you consider how much initiation they have with the telekinesis. The Scythe going out in Clockwork, and yeah, that's an easy kill for him.
Just showing the power of the slice, but really well done there by Jay. He judged perfectly how far forward he would have to go to get the Clockwork and lift him out of the cogs there, such that he didn't get forced back. So that was just Jay is really playing incredibly well this game too. Mosin and Jay both having really good games. Same with Joven. Everyone else, they just suck. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please don't kill me. But no, that was really, really well done by Jay there.
Yeah, they just, as a team, are really shaping up at this stage in the game here. I mean, the shackles are flying, and they are connecting pretty well, but they respond very effectively with some great defensive imprisonments, great initiations, Jay pulling in, Lance getting the hex up. They will force Staffham away, so good response from Lowyat, just kind of playing that multi-force speed gaming style where they are able to pull people out despite the hexes, but still, I mean, this is cooldown after cooldown costing Lowyat ground. They are losing this tower, and soon it won't be just the tower, it will be their last set of racks, and that, of course, forces the GG in this situation. They don't have any mega creep clearing heroes. They don't stand a chance against them, and it doesn't take very long for Mineski to clear out this melee unranged.
No, it really isn't, and I mean, Mineski, even if they decide just to kind of chill out back here and pretend
No, they're not.
as I say that, and they go.
Big damage coming out from Joven, dropping down the Sanity Eclipse. He will be caught inside DDZ's Impale, and Joven will indeed fall. The Mana Burn doing too much work against him, but he buys back. Might even be able to afford BOTs now. He's not coming back just yet here. We still Shackle actually connecting onto Jules. A lot of right-click damage from Lance, but Joss has the Get Out of Jail Free card, and they're just going to use it to reset the fight, target fire Lance down, and hopefully finish him off so they can claim these racks. Instead, they just rage out of the stuns. Oh my gosh, another ward tearing through DDZ, now lifting up Lance, now hexing him down, and that should be the game. The buyback, the last stand from the Weaver, but the melee are dropping, and they can just focus fire the range to win the game right here, and indeed they do. 6 racks down, Mega Creep spawning, and Lance, in a desperation, will just fall as well. Actually gets the Shikuchi, fast little Piglet, is just trying to do whatever he can to get Mineski out of the base, but it's too little, it's too late. Joven will claim the life of the Nyx Assassin. Right-click down to finish off Weaver. 100-second death timer, and the GG is called.
Oh, what a game. Both of these games were just quite interesting. Not normally what you see or expect from these teams, but I mean, GG well played. Mineski are going to be taking this 2-1 at the moment with a 1-game advantage. Lowyat played their hearts out in the first game. In the second game, they had the lead. Unfortunately, they just lost it little bit by little bit, but still, I mean, really good effort by them, and GG well played to them.
Indeed. Crazy game, but in the end, it of course goes for Mineski. They're able to make an amazing comeback and just blow our minds away once again. Just having that Mineski towards their draft and towards the way they played it. I mean, just so darn good. Especially, I got to give my MVP to the Rubik. Steals left and right. The could've, would've, oh, I wish it had worked hookshot play. But one way or another, just amazing plays that really set up his team for success as a whole. Sorry if my cast word as good as they usually are. Again, this is the 12-hour broadcaster talking, but, you know, running on some SE adrenaline, I'm very, very happy to be able to cast this game up with you, Lily.
Yeah, thanks for co-casting, and thanks to Pimp Muckle for doing the camera work. Thank you, of course, to the sponsors of this tournament, AMD, Invasion, eClub, Ignify Solutions, and Sapphire. And thanks for watching, guys. Congratulations again, Mineski. Yay.